If you find that the minute that door closes, you are making a beeline for the kitchen to raid the pantry, the minute you have the house to yourself, well, listen up, my friend, because you're in the right place to find out what could be causing that problem. And let's get it solved, shall we? So that you don't have to turn into a binge monster every time you're home alone. I actually love this question. I was asked it last week by a client, and I just thought, you know what? I know a lot of people struggling with this. I certainly used to be one of those people. It was automatic pilot. It was like Pavlov dog. If I heard the keys go, I'd probably start salivating. You know what I mean? So there's an expectation set up in your nervous system if this is you. And we want to figure out how to break that, but also what could be going on underneath that might be triggering that need to eat when you're all alone. First up, if you're new to the channel, my name's Helen Bennett. I'm a coach who specializes in helping people identify exactly this. Why are they overeating? Because trust me, it's never just because the food is addictive. It's always because there's something going on underneath, or it could just be, in this case, good old habit. Look, to be honest, all of this is habit. One way or another, you've got to break up with this habit, and there's a certain way to do that. But if it has been driven by some deeper needs, best we get those solved, or you'll just jump into some other addictive behavior or substance in order to medicate yourself from whatever might be going on underneath. We don't want that. We want to deal with the real problem. And this is what I help people do, is identify what really is going on so we can stop the overeating. Because you're not just greedy, you're not lazy, you're not broken. It'll all make sense. By the way, if you want to understand the deeper methodology behind what I'm going to talk about today, get to the website foodfreedomfoundations.com and you'll find a masterclass there. I'll also put the link in the description. It's about an hour long. It'll take you through the whole theory bit so you really understand the way that I work, and you'll see a lot of what I'm about to communicate today will make sense in the context of what I call the formula. It's really just my methodology. Okay, first things first, when I hear people are what I would call eating opportunistically, the minute there's that opportunity, they're alone, they find themselves compulsively eating, even if they're not hungry, usually like 99% of the time, they are somebody who has dieted a lot in their lifetime. They may not be on a diet currently, but they have been, or they've had some a very restrictive relationship with food where they felt certain things were bad and they shouldn't eat them, in which case they may not want to be seen to be eating them in front of their loved ones because they feel judgment both on themselves and potentially there was a loved one or there is a loved one in the family who might judge you for eating too much, more than they think you should, or eating a certain type of food. So it's probably coming from some kind of restrictive energy, whether that's just a history of dieting, pushing your body to a place where it was in some ways being undernourished, and your body's now got a fear response. And the minute it has an opportunity to get food in it, it will. It's probably diets paired with some sense of shame or guilt around the food that you're eating. And when everybody's gone, you can eat that food with only your judgment in the mix without having to risk the judgment of others or being seen to do something that you personally feel is bad. So what we do when we work together, if I was to ever to work with you, we would be stripping away all the judgment, all the shame, and just meeting food where food's at. Let's actually start to taste the food. Let's see if we can key into our hunger signals again, give your body what it needs. So when we can rule out hunger, and your body's meeting its nutritional needs. And by the way, when you do this, you'll be amazed how brilliant your body is at eating healthy foods, whatever you define that as. Oftentimes people end up eating what they would have eaten on their diet, just without the blowouts, because they actually really like some of this food. And our tummies usually guide us in a really beautiful nutritional direction, which is joyous, right? So we don't have to force. It's now just coming easily and intuitively. But you know what? Every now and again, tummy would like some cake and some chocolate and some crisps and that kind of thing. And if we have got a restrictive energy around that, a scarcity mindset where we think that's bad and I shouldn't, and we certainly don't feel comfortable eating foods that we think are bad in front of other people, because then that would make us bad. Or, and this was me, you're so on your high horse about nutrition that you've demonized those foods so badly, but meanwhile you actually really like them. So then the minute everybody's backs are turned, you automatically start reaching for them in a kind of desperate, overcompensatory way. So the more we think we can't have something, diets, or the more we think we shouldn't have something, judgment, guilt, and shame, the more we want it. So we've got to reverse that system and help you build a really peaceful relationship with all food. No demonization, no judgment, just listening. And I can say that with such confidence because when people listen, their bodies usually choose really, really well. That's probably the main one. We tend to sort of blow out in this space of quiet if we felt very almost, I feel like the energy is pushing here when I talk about that energy of being in the house where you don't feel you can eat as much as you want or need, and all the foods that you really want or need. So the minute people's backs are turned, there's an understandable kind of overcompensatory response. The other thing that's just come up for me is sometimes as well, maybe the only time you get a little bit of freedom in your life is when all the kids are gone and the partner's gone and the parents are gone, and you finally get a moment to yourself. And because life is just a series of to-do lists that never end, never, ever end, then in those little gaps where there's no responsibility, nothing you have to do for anybody else, you can actually spend time just relaxing. It may be that you're not very good at that, and that can feel really uncomfortable. Now that might be a life for another day, but there's good reason for that, and we've got to help your nervous system learn that it's okay to relax and have fun, not just when everybody leaves, but to carve out time for you, to say no, to do things for you, to be what might look like lazy to others, but actually to yourself, it's just you getting a rest or having a bit of fun without using food as the only way, maybe in the past you've known how to have a bit of fun, to be a bit rebellious, to be a bit wild. So food's playing that role, and it's your nervous system's connecting you being free and having fun with food. And the minute you're free to have some fun and to not have to do anything for anybody else, any wonder the automatic program is going food, food, and hey, food tastes good, and food feels good when we eat it until we get too far. But if you're struggling with overeating, you might have days where you can tell you're not hungry and you're not enjoying this anymore, and you're still going. And when that happens, it doesn't mean you're greedy. It probably means there's another need that's not being met, that you're trying to meet with food. As an example, rest, play, being a bit rebellious, those kind of things. If you're not able to meet that need, and this is a human need, we're not robots all the time, right? We've got to have areas of our life where we let go and there's freedom. And if we don't know how to do that with any other substance but food, or in any other way, but with food, I'm not suggesting you pick a new substance, por favor. No. But if we not good at that because we feel somehow unsafe to have fun, or the to-do list, now we're feeling guilty because we're not being productive, then we can train your nervous system how to feel comfortable, relaxing, doing nothing, having fun, dancing with your knickers on your head. I don't mind, whatever it works for you. So let's train your nervous system to have some fun if that's one of the reasons you might be blowing out with food when people leave. So we've already hit on 2 reasons. The third one, actually, and this is what the person that I worked with suggested when we sort of reflected on what might be going on. She said, oh, maybe I'm lonely. Now, there's something to this, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but we're only born with 3 fears. And one is falling, one is loud noises, and the third one is abandonment, which means that separation anxiety, which is sort of poo-pooed upon, out there, is actually something we're born with. It's completely natural and understandable because a human animal needs to belong. We need to be connected with our caregivers and our family members if we want to survive. So we're not consciously aware of this, but we are wired in to feel distress when we are separate from our loved ones. So there might be something to that. And it's probably worth a little deeper dive, a little deeper investigation to see if your nervous system is reacting to the separation, and then finding a way to, again, it's trying to meet a need, but not in the right way. It needs connection. It needs to feel safe. But in that moment, the only way you currently know how to do that, if it's loneliness for you, is to medicate with food. To medicate, it's not the right word, but to comfort yourself, to experience connection with food, because we have such a high degree of association between food and connection. So it makes complete sense, right? That one would require a little bit more deep dive, and it's very nuanced, that one. But I think it's a good possibility. And of course, Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Oh, I could go deeper, but I'm not going to. I'll leave it there. So we've talked about diets and restriction or judgment, all that restrictive energy around food. We've talked about not really being somebody who's able to let go, have fun and play, and food's coming to meet that need. We've talked about maybe feeling a bit of separation anxiety when somebody you love walks out the house. And then the last one, oh, yes, oh, this is a good one. Potentially, what if you have been experiencing a lot of emotional turmoil while people are around, but you are not yet able to release that, to express that, to have conversations and get your needs met that way. Maybe you've got mountains of anger, frustration, or sadness, or whatever built up inside you, and you don't feel comfortable with letting those emotions out, or maybe you've never been taught, as most of us weren't, how to let uncomfortable emotions out in a really helpful way, where we don't alienate and push away the ones that we love. So let's say you're carrying this all around while they're there, and then the minute they leave, you've got to find a way to release that energy. And maybe food is the way that you're doing it. Maybe that's part of what's going on. When the people that you live with are around you, you're feeling all the feels, but you've got no way of letting them out or regulating them. And then the minute they leave, you go to the only thing you know how to do to get those emotional needs met. That's a really tricky one. That would take a bit longer to work through, but it's all doable. Once we start to identify what's really driving the overeating, then we're halfway there. Now we just got to do the work of changing the patterns. So regardless of which one of those four it might be for you, given that this could be another 6 possibilities I haven't thought of, but they usually fit into one of those categories: diets and restrictive energy, exhaustion, needing some fun and play, and emotional regulation and release. Probably it's going to fit in there somewhere. There is a fourth, or would now be a fifth option, right? It might just be habit. It might just be that you're actually well emotionally regulated, you're beautifully rested, you're very good at having fun and letting your hair down, and you haven't touched a diet or thought restrictively about food for years. But you're still doing this thing where every time the door closes, you're in the pantry. No probs. That is good old-fashioned Pavlovian conditioning. Your body has done the same thing multiple times. It's been downloaded into your subconscious brain, and the pattern would just automatically keep going at the sound of the door closing. So if that's you, there's nothing else going on, it just seems to be an old habit that doesn't want to die, then you can break that habit. You have to do it consciously. You'll have to put a pattern interrupt in there, and you'll have to start practicing something new until that becomes the default. But that would be a much easier scenario to change, because there's nothing else emotional. There's not other needs that aren't being met there. I hope that's helpful. If you are watching this live and you'd like to ask me a question, you can pop it in the comments, whether it be now or any other time. If you have a question for another live, feel free to leave a comment, or you can send me an email. My email address is in the description, or just send me a pigeon. I don't mind how you do it, but I love these questions. And usually if you have a question, it probably means a lot of other people out there would benefit from it too. So that's the end of that live. Short and sweet, punchy. Last thing to say, though, is if you are listening to all of this and thinking, oh my God, it's kind of actually all of them. I'm doing the Macaulay Culkin face there. If you are listening and thinking, shit, Helen, I actually have all of those problems, then you know who to call. The link's in the description. I can talk you through the Foundations, Food Freedom Foundations program that I run. If you would like to just creep silently into the program and work through it all on your own because you don't want to have a call, or you just feel uncomfortable about that idea, you can go to school.com/food freedom and get cracking. And if you're in the program and you think it sucks, we will give you a full money back, full refund, but I don't think you will. I think in the first 7 days, you'll be so thrilled you're in there, and you'll want to just keep going and complete the full 4 months. But yeah, it's designed to get you results, action. That's what we're here for. As much as I love these videos, ultimately I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to help you get results. So if you listen to this video or watch this video and you found it really valuable, please pop me a comment, smash the like button, let us know. If it's left you with more questions, let me know that too. I can help you in the future. And of course, you can join me next Monday. Same time, same place. We'd love to have you in the chats. So that's it, everybody. Have a beautiful week further. Can't believe it's Monday. And I'll see you next Monday. Adios.